Welcome back to Crisco's Corner, unfiltered commentary, not your truth, the real truth. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi folks, welcome back. From Fox News, Biden's Supreme Court pick. Could Kamala Harris cast a tie-breaking vote for herself? Experts say it is possible for Biden to nominate Harris to the Supreme Court and for Harris to cast a deciding vote in her favor. Is it plausible? Probably not. But it's fun to talk about nonetheless. The odds aren't zero. They might be low. But here's the Democrats' predicament. And it's a fairly decent one for them. Kamala Harris is incredibly disliked. Not just disliked by independents, Republicans, conservatives, and everybody right of center. She's disliked by her own party. When I say her own party, I mean registered Democrats in the country. And they've seen poll after poll. What did she get when she ran for president? I don't think she even got 5%, did she? Now, here's the thing. Biden promised a black woman, which is incredibly racist because you should pick the best qualified person, but that's a different issue. She's Jamaican, and I believe Asian Indian. Does that make her a black woman? I don't know. I don't have my progressive racial category scorecard with me to see what scores higher. But nonetheless, we'll say she falls under their definition of black woman. Speculation is running rampant on who President Biden will nominate the next Supreme Court justice following the retirement of liberal Justice Stephen Breyer at the end of the court's term in June. Now, I do have to say, for us conservative people, Biden's going to put in a progressive liberal no matter what. In my understanding, Kamala Harris was the most left progressive liberal in the Senate when she was a senator of the whole 100. So, we're going to get screwed no matter what. I would hope to pick up another seat. That's if Trump had won. I don't think Breyer would retire if Trump had won. But nonetheless, it's going to get filled with a lefty. So we have to take that hit. So it's really interesting to talk about because the Democrats are in a bad spot. Joe Biden swears up and down he's going to run again, barring any health situation, in 2024 for re-election, and Kamala Harris will be his vice president. I'm sure he's getting whispers in his ear from all kinds of advisors. Mr. President, nobody likes Kamala. Nobody likes Kamala Harris. But we needed her because we wanted a black or non-white woman to be vice president, the first one ever. It'll bring in votes. It'll keep a lot of the women and progressives that don't like you, it'll keep them in our camp. So they said, okay. And here we are. Now, I always try to put myself in the position of someone that I oppose or an organization I oppose just to try to get their view. And they're in a tough spot. Their bench is extremely small. They don't have anybody worth anything waiting in the wings to fill in key government posts, i.e., in this case, the vice president or president for that matter. They've got Hillary. That's it. So what's going to happen here? I'll tell you what I would do if I was them. I would offer it to Kamala. I would somehow maneuver her so she basically had to take it. Now, remember, it's a lifetime appointment. Now, you're not going to get the daily press, which might be a good thing for her, like you would as vice president. But you're there on the Supreme Court for life, or until you decide to retire or your health deteriorates or you pass away. That would be very, very tempting And it would keep her quiet because her one of her main faults is her mouth and her personality. You don't get to do a lot of that in the Supreme Court. So that's what I would do. But here's the problem. We're going to have to pick somebody to be vice president. And the person we pick is going to have to be our standard bearer in 2024 because we all know that Joe Biden isn't going to make it till then. So who do you pick? Well, I think there's two people that they could pick for vice president. I forget the gentleman's name. He's the governor of Colorado. And the other one, I think, is the only person they have that has national attention but has a huge amount of luggage, and I mean a huge amount of luggage, and that's Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom really sucks. He's a horrible governor, but that doesn't seem to matter anymore. He's fairly charismatic. He's a decent public speaker. He's handsome. All those things. I know it sounds sexist, but that's the reality. It's like marketing. I think that's their best bet. Let Kamala Harris go to the Supreme Court. Have Gavin Newsom as vice president. I don't think he wants to be governor of California anymore. It's going down the toilet. That's what I would do. But they're not me. Let's continue on. Well, the idea may be far-fetched, and one White House tried to squash the idea there's a possibility legally that Biden could fulfill his campaign promise of nominating a black woman to the Supreme Court while also giving Harris a dignified exit from the ticket. And then they go on about the procedure. Is technically Harris allowed to break a 50-50 tie to vote for herself? And, of course, the Constitution doesn't place any conditions on the type of ties the president can break as presiding officer. Now, when I was on city council in the early 2000s, I was a moderate Democrat. I left the party years ago, but I'm a Republican now. But the progressives around there wanted to push me out of the president's chair. It was the 7th year I was a council member and the 3rd year as the Democrats having the majority on the council. And you get to vote for yourself. And there were 9 members at the time on the council, and it was 4 against me for somebody else and 4 for me. By a weird coincidence, I was District 9, and we voted in numerical order. So they called my name, and there was a lot of people there, and it's on live TV. And I kind of joked around and said, let me see. And the whole place laughed, and I voted for myself. That was a very, very surreal thing, voting for yourself for an office. But granted, it's not the vice president, so I got somewhat of a feeling what it's like. They could presumably leave the VP free to break a tie in confirming herself to the Supreme Court. James Wallner, senior fellow at the R Street Institute and a guru at legislative procedure, agrees there's nothing in the Constitution that would stop Harris from voting for his favor if all Republicans rejected her hypothetical nomination. Now, whether or not it's in good taste or anything else, it could be very well lead to further politicization of the Supreme Court. Well, I don't think you could go much further, to be honest with you. And they go on about what the Constitution says about tie breaks. And Biden's going to stand by his incredibly racist promise to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court. And this is why I'm telling you it's racist. It's racist and sexist both. One, they're assuming that all women think alike. Women do think differently than men. We have a lot in common, but they do think differently. What's the overlap? I think 60% were alike and 40% were not, something like that. Women do perceive things differently as a general rule, not everyone. But here's the part that's really evil. Just because it's a black woman or a non-white woman, that means a person of that race, they all think alike and they're interchangeable. They don't care who it is as long as it's black and a woman, and they can skate through to qualify. And that's why it's racist. We're going to have to see. Now, I'll scroll through here. You can read it. Talk about a few examples where Hillary Clinton didn't vote for herself as senator when she was made Secretary of State. And there was a couple other things. Jeff Sessions voted president instead of voting for himself. And, you know, first ever tie break to break a Senate tie over cabinet nomination was Betsy DeVos. And Mike Pence was a tie break in that one. And in a likely scenario that Harris is Biden's choice to sit in the House, would also have to confirm a new vice president. And that's where the fun's going to begin. The 25th Amendment says whenever there is a vacancy in the office of the vice president, the president shall nominate a vice president will need to be confirmed by a majority of both chambers. Now, here's the thing. Without a vice president in office, the next person in line in succession of the presidency is the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. Now, is Nancy Pelosi delusional enough to think that the Democrats are going to keep control of the House from the 2022 November election? And she'll still be there? And she thinks Joe Biden is going to pick her as the vice president? Are they really that bat crap crazy? Well, the way things have been going lately, I can't put anything that's too far-fetched out of reach. Anyway, folks, there it is. It's good to talk about. It's good for speculation. I like to talk about politics for fun. You know, it's like some people talk about old sports teams. One player is better than this one, and one player for that, and what if this player was on that team? And it's fun. But I'm not saying that any of this is totally zero chance of happening. They need to get rid of Kamala Harris. How do they do it and save face? Good question. Good question. We're going to find out pretty quick here, aren't we? Until next time, goodbye and good luck.